Hello.
Hello.
This is Soledad Barrio,
Hola.
flamenco dancer, extraordinary flamenco dancer of the company Soledad Barrio and Noche Flamenca. And I am Martín Santangelo, the artistic director of the company. And I'm sitting here with my wife. We're also husband and wife. And hi.
Hello.
Okay, I've asked Soli to speak as much as possible in English. Soli is very shy about her English, as are many Spaniards. And we're going to speak a little bit. How are you, Soli?
I feel better now in this moment, but for me this time is very hard in general. I was very depressed and I have anxiety.
I have anxiety. I'll be translating a lot.
I feel better. I find encontrando fuerzas.
I'm finding strengths.
Para volver a ponerme en mi trabajo.
To get back to my work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very difficult time. We were speaking earlier this morning that it's a very very difficult time for artists. And how has it been the last 3-4 months for you?
Muy duro porque el mundo se derrumbó para nosotros, de quedarnos sin trabajo y teníamos la ilusión. Inglés.
If you can in English, if not, I'll translate.
We have a lot of, teníamos mucha ilusión.
We were very excited and very, yeah, we were excited.
Íbamos a hacer Antígona.
We were going to perform Antígona in La Mama.
Y tuvimos, o sea, nos quedamos con todo preparado.
Everything was prepped. Everything.
Y tuvimos que cancelar.
Everything was canceled.
Entonces fue un momento muy difícil.
It's a moment that's very, very difficult. The future is very difficult, and we were talking about more of an existentialist question: as do we matter? What we do, does that matter? Lo que hacemos si significa algo como artistas. Yeah, the logical question, the logical answer is yes. What we do is significant or has meaning, but it's been very difficult to feel that you're valid. Yeah, been very difficult to feel that you're a valid person. I did get one phone call about 2.5 months ago from a wonderful person who ran. She's a presenter, an artistic director. And she called me one morning and she said, I'm calling to say, how are you? Of course, you know, how you doing? And she said, I'm just calling you to say what you do is important. And that one person told me that. Unfortunately, I think that we need to say that to people. What you do is important, essential. With these names and titles of who's essential, what is essential, what's not essential. And that person, she told me that, Beryl Jolly, told me that. And she called me and she said, please tell Soli also, what you do matters and is significant and has meaning. And I can't say how many times I've gone back to that moment on the phone when she called me. Because I have many issues of saying, well, does it matter what I do? It's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult. Anyway, I'm going off. Would you like to talk about how you are? Where are you?
Bueno, estoy en casa de... I stay in Lucy's house.
In my mother's house. Yeah. My mother's in Argentina. She got trapped in Argentina The borders closed the flights, so she wasn't able to fly. So we came here with our 2 daughters because it's a much bigger apartment than we have. We live in Washington Heights, but this apartment is on the Upper West Side. It's a very big apartment. And have you been able to dance?
Que si estoy...
Sí, has bailado.
No.
She has not danced.
Solo limpiado y reformado. Only clean and reforming.
Reforming. We painted the house. We worked on my mother's apartment because it has been worked on for a long time. And why haven't you
bueno, yo
danced?
Porque el mundo se me vino un poco abajo al no poder hacer Antígona.
That I wasn't able to perform Antígona and perform. My world collapsed.
Sobre todo la expectativa de no poder trabajar.
The perspective that I can't work.
De no poder estar con el público.
That I can't be with the public. That I can't be joined.
La verdad es que te baja mucho la ilusión.
It took me down.
Sobre todo, también no soy una persona que tiene 20 años.
I'm not 20 years old.
Y quiero aprovechar estos últimos años que me quedan, tal vez.
And I want to really I've been thinking the last few years, I really want to take advantage of what I do now.
Y quiero estar con el público.
And I want to be with the public, with the audience.
Y sí, espero que el público pueda venir al teatro.
I hope that the public, that we're able to perform.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be till January, February at the earliest. So for you, it's been difficult not to be on stage.
Sí. Y también es difícil mantener, o sea, el haber hecho mis deberes, el haber seguido estudiando en el salón de casa.
And it's been very difficult for me to attempt to do my homework, to study, and even if it's in my living room.
Porque realmente para mí esto ha sido un golpe de estado, o sea, es que ha sido muy duro.
For me, it's been very, very hard, a collapse.
Pero la verdad es que me siento mejor.
I feel better right now.
Y voy a buscar la forma.
And I am hungry to look for the way to dance.
Porque si alguien me está viendo,
because if somebody's seeing me,
pues será que podemos.
Or watching me, and it means that
que vamos a poder.
That I will be able to.
Claro. Yeah. Que hay gente que no somos todos, no somos tanta gente que necesitamos del arte como necesitamos de ir al supermercado.
More people need to get to the supermarket than need to get to a theater.
Pero somos gente, somos personas. Podemos.
But some of us need to go to the theater. Some of us need to be in the theater together. We were
Ya, eso que vamos a poder.
And I'm going to be able to do it. So it's been tough for Soli, very, very difficult. Our studio closed. We haven't been able to get into the studio. Hopefully it's opening up next week, but it'll be walking into the studio by herself or with me. It's been a very, very demolishing time for Soli, for me. I've been able to rehearse, which is great, virtually with the artists in the company for 2 reasons. One, because after Beryl Jolly, she ran the Miami Theater. She just stepped out of that. But after that phone call, I meditated a lot of what is important. And there's 2 things with the artists that are very important. One is that they feel valid as artists. So I began talking to them about that. The second thing is they have no work, really like no work. And they were getting desperate. So all monies that we have in the company, all and any monies, have been splurged on rehearsals. We've been rehearsing. The salaries are not high, very low, but they are salaries, and they can exist on that salary. It's a very low salary, but comparatively to how we usually function. but they have no work in Spain. They have no work anywhere, anywhere. And they have been rehearsing 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last couple months. And we're going to keep doing this for as long as possible. Sometimes it's very frustrating, the rehearsals. Sometimes you think, why am I even doing this? But I'm finding my way little by little. I have to meditate a lot on it. And one of the things that Soli was talking about was, is it a sense, what's the experience with her and the public? Like, ¿qué es la experiencia? O la circunstancia entre tú y el público? ¿Qué es? What occurs? What occurs? Because what occurs is something, for me, I've been on stage and off stage with her. And what I see is something very special. Para ti, I'm going to ask her, what is it to get up and do her soleá or do her performings with the audience?
Pues cada vez es un contacto más íntimo y más fuerte como ser humano con el público.
For me, it's a very intimate communication and contact with the public.
Con el paso del tiempo de mi vida, con los años.
With aging and getting more mature.
Conecto más con el público porque cuando era más joven,
when I was younger,
estaba más preocupada de la forma.
I was more worried about the form of dancing.
Del cuerpo, del baile físico.
The physical dance.
Y con la edad,
and maturing,
estoy más conectada con lo que es un ser humano.
It's more of a connection of what it means to be a human being, our pathos.
Y en eso pues conecto más con el público.
And connecting with the public within what I do.
Creo que cuando se muere alguien como tu padre, alguien que tú amas de verdad.
When her father just passed away recently, when someone a loved one passes away.
Bueno, la vida te va. O sea, lo bueno que tienen los años es que vas, creo que como persona vas creciendo.
What were you saying about when somebody passes
away? Quiero
away?
decir que con los años he crecido, creo, como persona.
What I mean is that maturing, I've grown.
Y conecto más con el público. Me importa más el público.
And it's more important, the public, for me, as I get older. It's more important.
No tanto para lucirme, yo como para demostrar lo que puedo hacer o
it's always less
mi
about
técnica, no para hablar de mi técnica.
Less about my technique and less about demonstrating, look what I can do.
Sino para compartir un momento muy importante que se da en el teatro, que sería como una iglesia, como es un encuentro espiritual.
That it's
del alma.
A spiritual encounter in the theaters. That it's an encounter of the artists and the public together, that it's ¿has dicho?
Pues que es un encuentro muy especial porque sería como
and it's an encounter.
Sería como yo con cada persona.
It's as if I'm with each person in the public.
Individualmente entre los dos.
Individually.
Sería como entre tú y yo, en cada butaca.
It's like each seat is between that seat and me. Or that person in that seat and me, the two of us.
O sea, hay un montón de gente y yo estoy conversando con cada uno.
There's a lot of people, and it's as if I'm having a conversation with each person.
Y yo estoy con cada persona solas y él me está hablando de pues, que tiene un cáncer o que ha nacido su hijo.
And it's as if she says, as if it's a conversation. They say, I just got sick with, I just had a baby. And it's a real conversation that I begin having. And I speak of myself, of me, and we communicate.
Profundamente.
But profoundly.
Sin palabras.
Without words.
Y entre dos.
And for me, really between two. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I think when we're younger, yes, it's more about what I can do and showing people what I can do. And then the chance as an artist is to, like you just said, Soledad just said, it's almost like a church, the experience in the theater.
Bueno, en Noche Flamenca creo que pasa esto.
And I think that Noche Flamenca,
A ver,
this occurs.
Hay espectáculos que solo cuando los ves dices, wow, lo que han hecho.
There's a lot of shows, honestly, that I go that we say, oh wow, look what they can do.
Pero lo que pasa en nuestros espectáculos.
But what happens with our shows?
Es que la verdad, la mayoría de la gente cuando lo que dice es, madre mía, estaba llorando porque estaba pensando, o sea, estaban sintiendo algo personal.
Is that I think that the majority of the public is, I was feeling emotional because I went through something and I felt something.
A mí nunca me ha venido alguien del público después del espectáculo y me ha dicho, madre mía, qué pies tienes.
Somebody, I don't want somebody to come, or people don't come to me after the shows and say hello and say, wow, you got great footwork.
A lo mejor, sino que vienen y a lo mejor dicen, madre mía, he llorado.
No, they come and they say, I cried in this moment, or I laughed in this moment.
Porque ellos están creando también, porque ellos son parte de lo que estamos haciendo.
Because the public, honestly, is a good part of the creation of what we're doing on stage. Yeah. And that's tough. I think that's what's been really a lot of the meaning of flamenco and the reason of the existence of flamenco is a small family or groups that get together to have a cathartic experience, whether of joy or anger or sorrow or tragedy, comedy. But the function of flamenco is that. The function of flamenco is not, oh, wow, you can do that many turns, you can do that kind of footwork, which is all fun and all that stuff, but it's not going to help you get up in the morning the next day. The flamenco, if you really do flamenco, it's not about demonstrating something. It's about an experience, a very deep human experience. Soli envelops that, and she works towards that in the studio. I've seen her, year after year, day after day, week after week, and how she works and what her objectives are, and why she mounts something this way or that way. And the whole thing is geared to, one, what's flamenco? Let's not mess around with it because it's already constructed and built. So to adhere to that. Two, how can I better communicate with the audience? How can I better commune with the audience? And commune in a spiritual sense is what you're talking about. Talking about commune in the ego trip way, which I understand. As artists, we all have our egos and we want people to look at us and go, you look good, you look great on stage. But that has nothing to do with flamenco and has nothing to do with what we do. So that's also been very difficult with this whole coronavirus. The show that we put out at the Joyce is called Entre tú y yo, Between You and I. And I chose that title. It took me about 2 months to find the title because it is between two people. It's intimate in that sense. That how do flamencos communicate within themselves and how they communicate with the audience in a very intimate and personal way. Okay. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we're not so happy because we're not. And would you like to talk about anything else?
No. No, es que a mí lo de hablar no se me da muy bien.
I don't speak well.
O sea, me pone nerviosa tener que
I get nervous
hablar,
speaking.
y luego si me veo lo que he dicho, digo, pues qué tonterías digo, o qué mal hablo.
And then when I watch myself, if I watch like this video, if I see it, I go, I'm not smart. Anyway.
Vamos, es que lo mío no es hablar, lo mío es todo que es bailar.
My thing is not talking, my thing is dance.
Espero que baile mejor que hablo.
I dance better than I speak.
Espero.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back at the Joyce in late January, February.
Ay, por favor.
Just please. We'll see. We miss a lot of things. Our studios, I think, are opening in the next couple of weeks, which will be wonderful because just even to get into the studio is important. The problem in living in a city and doing flamenco artists is that we can't make noise. And so we tried everything impossible, so Soli can't get her shoes on. So she wants to get her shoes on, make some noise. So we're waiting for us.
Bueno, también tengo un suelo aquí en el apartamento de goma.
I have a floor here that's like a rubber floor to reduce sound. But
es como si a un pintor le quitas los pinceles y le das un lapicero del colegio.
It's like for a painter, if you take away the painter's colors and you give them a pencil that we use when we were 4 years old.
A mi edad no es fácil adaptarme a eso.
At my age, very difficult to adapt myself to that, and it's not effective.
Pero si es necesario, me voy a adaptar. Si no tengo otra solución, lo voy a hacer.
I will adapt as needed, but I need to get my shoes on.
Pero de momento no me ha sido fácil, no he podido hacer ballet online porque...
I haven't been able to do ballet online, for example, because I can't.
Pero voy a poder si no hay otra forma.
If there's not another way, I will adapt. But
pero la verdad es que yo
you're also
realmente pero yo realmente me entiendo la gente. Para mí esto ha sido fuerte. Yo he sentido ansiedad y depresión.
I've had depression and anxiety.
Yeah. No he podido como seguir, venga.
And I haven't been able to go, oh, okay, let me do this in my home. No, I haven't been able to.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to. But I do, Sol is one of the most, you're one of the most disciplined people I know. So they will work days, 6, 7 days a week. The discipline's over the top. So it's not about discipline, it's about...
it's about depression.
It's about depression.
Cuando estás deprimido, paras.
When you're depressed, you stop.
No puedes.
And if you can't, you can't in this moment. Yeah. And we can't. Yeah. And there are things to do. The rehearsals that I'm doing are marvelous. We're creating wonderful things, new things, special things also, because I'm doing whatever I want. Whatever comes into my mind, I just go. Because I have to keep the artist going and stimulated, motivated. And one part of me is that whatever comes into my mind, go. And it's okay. It's all right. I'm trying to validate myself.
Bueno, yo tengo la suerte de estar con Martín.
I'm lucky to be with Martín sometimes.
No, pero es verdad, porque tú es verdad que has seguido. Sí.
She says, yes, I'm lucky. Martín kept going.
Has seguido de una forma o de otra ensayando con la gente.
He's rehearsed.
Por el ordenador.
On the computer, virtually.
Entonces también, pues eso también es verdad que a veces, pues que está muy bien, que es muy bonito y que me ha permitido a lo mejor que yo he podido deprimirme. No sé.
And he allowed me that I could get depressed. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to stop. Soli, te quiero mucho. I love you very much. Good.
Y a todos los que nos están viendo.
Yes, and if people from the public see this, the audience, participating is very important. important. Going to the theater, it's going to be a reaffirmation of who we all are and the experience that we all need, which is communication, cathartic communication, and Soli especially, tragedy, comedy, joy, a little bit of everything, but that yes, the theater is important. Telling stories is important. Having visceral experiences in the theater is important. And to feel that we do that, and if we can learn as artists that we can drop the demonstrative part and go into, and I don't care if it sounds pretentious or not, the more the spiritual part. What experience can we have together? Maybe that this is a time that will allow us to more freely get to that. Because we're seeing what occurs culturally when everything is judged on how many people go to the theater or how many people go to a rally. The values of what is important and what's not important, what matters, what doesn't matter, what's meaningful, what's not meaningful, in this moment can be much more clear. Very difficult to look at, very difficult. But we can't hang on to more public, better, more you're great, better. No, it has to do with something else. It has to do with something else. And it has to do with what Soledad's talking about, which when she was saying as she's maturing, she's dropped, look what I can do, rather than what can we all experience, what can we create, what experience can we create together? Yeah. Cool. That's it?
Sí.
Okay. Okay.